with that being said, now that we have talked enough about Keith Lee and the ventures of where it is that he's going to, now we can get into the reaction part of this, the Keith Lee effect. Shout outs to Patrick CC for dropping another banger on us again. So without further ado, let's get into this damn video, y'all. Let's do it.
People around the country treat his word like gospel. That is the Keith Lee effect. Keith Lee is either Batman or Joker when it comes to restaurant owners. But once you hear his story, you will understand why he has such a cult-like following. It's much deeper than a guy who has decent taste buds. Keith Lee is a man who failed at the one thing he was actually good at. Then at his darkest moment, he refused to give up and created a meteoric influence in an industry he had no business being in. Keith described himself as a very small child who felt the need to display his dominance to overcompensate for his short stature. His bad behavior led to him getting expelled from every school in the Detroit, Michigan area before attending a charter school as a last resort, where he barely managed to graduate the 8th grade.
So by the time I got to high school, I was a weed head, smoking every day. I'm talking about bad, like every day. My freshman year, I had a 0.6 GPA.
Things would get
Damn. Damn. I didn't know this part about Keith. Golly, bro. I'm glad that you turned your life around, but fuck.
even worse for Keith in high school, where he lived in the shadow of his brother. Keith's older brother Kevin had already garnered a remarkable reputation as a star athlete who graduated with a 3.9 GPA before receiving a scholarship to wrestle for Grand Valley State University, which is an NCAA Division II school. Keith decided to follow in his brother's footsteps for all the wrong reasons.
When I got there, it was more out of spite. It was more out of arrogance. It was more out of just like, now I'm approved to you, I can do it, and I don't even want to do it. I'm gonna just do it because you told me I can't do something else. So I'm gonna just do it just to shit on you, basically.
Yep.
Oh no.
He utilized all his pent-up
See, that is not the way to go. I mean, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you gotta flex on them, you know what I'm saying? With the people that was talking crazy. But it's really a mental thing when it comes down to whatever it is that you do within life. If you're going into something within the wrong reasons, it's not going to turn out the way how it is that you want it to. Even when it is you're getting a level of success, it's not. After a while, you get a big crash and burn, and you realize that it's like, yo, I'm not really built for this. This is what I thought that I was. Now I look even more embarrassing than what I already was. You gotta be careful with that, because that puts you in a lot of predicaments where it is you can't take yourself, remove yourself out of those. So be careful with that.
aggression and transferred it out on the wrestling mat, where he showed a genuine talent for the sport and squashed his competition. But he was a stubborn, disobedient child who didn't focus on his grades, didn't stay disciplined, and quit the team. Then his father got arrested and imprisoned following a heated altercation with some people in his neighborhood. His father's inability to provide for his family meant Keith, his mother, and younger brother were forced to move into an abandoned home, where Keith started to question his religious faith and overall perspective on life. At his lowest moment, the only way he could go was up. He stopped smoking, stopped hanging out with bad influences, and got back into wrestling. Fast forward to his senior year, Keith averaged a 3.6 GPA and was preparing to wrestle at the Michigan High School State Championships, which hadn't been achieved by a student at Southfield High School since the 90s. He received a partial scholarship to wrestle for Indiana Tech, but made a critical error. He never actually enrolled in the school. He showed up at Indiana Tech, connected with the wrestling coach, attended random classes, and got fully immersed into the college life. He was expecting a dorm room since he thought he had a scholarship, but when he showed up to the admissions office, they were confused.
They take me to the office and they like, you don't have no paperwork filled out, sir.
Who are you?
Yeah, they was like, only thing we have is the offer letter that we sent you.
Right?
So we only got your name and your information from the offer letter. They was like, that's all we know about you. We don't know nothing else.
How did
Like
that?
a birthday party invitation. You sent me the invitation.
I just showed up.
Keith laughs about the
What's up, best
situation
man?
now, but at the time, he was devastated. They told Keith if he didn't pay them $20,000 for the semester and $2,000 for the application fee, he wouldn't be allowed to go to school.
Me blood clot. You charging $2,000 for the application fee? Nah, you're just being petty. You're being petty at this rate. You're being petty. I understand the $20,000 for the semester, but that $2,000 additional? Oh, you being petty to this poor young man. Like, cheese on bread. Let those. Listen. Financial aid be trying to hoe me, and it's like, look, you ain't about to sit there and do that. You not about to do that, gang. You not about to do that, gang. I've already dealt with that level of disrespect for financial aid. But my question is how did that happen? Like, this is me blood clot. How did that happen? You know? Because I will say this at one particular time it is that I almost was a Howard University student. And yes, I was on campus. Nobody knew it is that I was not a student. But I knew of people and whatnot. But like I'm gonna tell you this, Howard University, and especially it is the people that is connected within Howard University, everybody know each other. Everybody know each other. So after a while, it's just like, all right, you gonna make a decision. It's either you choose this school or you're gonna have to choose something else. But I ended up choosing Bowie State. You know what I'm saying? I like Bowie State, and I like being, either way, HBCUs is still HBCUs at the end of the day. If I happen to be wearing something that's like Bowie State, and I come across somebody on the street, you know what I'm saying? We have that connection. It's the same thing with Howard University as well. I got me a nice little red and blue jacket. I may put that bitch on, to be honest.
Unable to get a loan, Keith had to move back with his family, who relocated to Las Vegas. He was now sharing bunk beds with his 14-year-old brother, who regularly reminded Keith that he was a loser.
At this point, I'm in the deepest depression I've been in a long time.
Dang.
Because I'm like, oh, the reality is sitting in.
Yeah,
He's right.
yeah.
I'm not in school. I don't have a job. I got fired already. I didn't quit a job. My track history with work is already terrible. I didn't got kicked out of school.
Yeah.
I don't have no other offers.
Right.
Nothing in life is looking bright to me right now.
Right.
I don't have nothing going for me.
Keith's older brother Kevin had recently secured a contract to fight in the UFC as Kevin the Motown Phenom Lee, and Kevin was a savage. At his peak, he held a 16-2 professional record and was toe-to-toe with legends like Tony Ferguson
16-2?
and Charles Oliveira.
Oh, he's a
Kevin
monster.
forced Keith to get into the gym with him, and on
I'm petty. I'm going back to
like
this.
Tony Ferguson and Charles Oliveira.
I never understood why that, like, listen, y'all noses is kissing at this point. I never understood this level of why y'all men and sometimes women or my non-binaries out there gotta be this damn close. At this rate, it don't take much for an accidental oopsie. Like an accidental smooch end up being there. Come on now. Right, they out here Eskimo kissing, bro. They are nose to nose, bro. It's a face off. I mean, I could see a face off if it's like with a little bit of like inches within each other, but like, oh, that sounded crazy. But inches apart from each other. But y'all are Eskimo kissing right now. It's a nose off at this rate. It's not even a face off. Like, why you gotta be this close? What if somebody burp or sneeze? Like,
Kevin forced Keith to get into the gym with him, and on his first day, their coach Dewey Cooper realized the potential Keith had as an MMA fighter. Desperate for money and a purpose, Keith trained for a year straight and won his first 4 amateur fights. The only 2 losses he had were by split decision, meaning he was a very promising prospect. However, he was earning next to nothing for these. $500, maybe $1,000 per fight. Keep in mind, this was over the course of 3 years, so he was broke following a rotation of various low-end jobs. But luckily, he met his girlfriend, now wife, Ronnie, while working for ASICS. Keith credits Ronnie with being the anchor to keeping him grounded and focused on becoming the best version of himself. Following a submission victory against Leonardo Carvalho at Global Legion FC 13, Keith proposed to his girlfriend Ronnie and intentionally got her pregnant 2 days later. On the same day of the proposal, Keith
that intentional getting pregnant. Crazy wording.
His manager informed him that his victory against Carvalho earned him a 6-figure contract with Bellator. He won his very first Bellator bout against Sean Bunch. It took many years, but once he finally had a support system around him, wife, coaches, brother, he was able to crawl out of the repetitive cycle of depression and low ambition. Now with some free time and spare income, Keith signed up for TikTok. Keith's journey on TikTok started just like anyone else, participating in trends for no reason other than it seemed fun. From there, his uploads were just random things that pertain to his everyday life. He was getting maybe 50 views per video, but it seemed more like an outlet for him to have fun rather than start a business.
Correct.
But then the pandemic hit, the world shut down, and Keith needed to make something happen.
I downloaded TikTok after I kept saying I wouldn't. Now I'm sick and tired of every video I post only getting 50 views. I'm gonna sit here with my dog and tip me and him get famous.
In an attempt to garner more views, Keith began posting psychology facts videos. He gained a little bit of traction, but it didn't last long. He started to become desperate for virality.
You want to get famous? Follow these simple instructions. Download another motherfucking app, because this ain't the one. This ain't it, Chief. It ain't never gonna happen. Never.
He would cash out people if they solved a riddle. He posted math problems for people to solve. Even though he looked defeated, he refused to give up. At this point, Keith was obsessed with the platform, posting daily, if not multiple times per day.
That's how you gotta be. That's how you gotta be. Look, anybody it is that like I have a video on my second channel right now on TikTok that is damn near almost 300K. And I'm not trying to flex that, but when it comes down to a level of wanting to do TikTok, you need to be posting. It's content creation. And when I love when people with a 9 to 5 sit there and say it is content creation. It ain't a damn job because, and you're right, it's not a traditional job. When you go to work and clock in and clock out, that's when it is you get to go home afterwards and do what it is that you do. Content creation is all damn day. This thing never stops, baby. It never stops. When it is that we're not posting content, is we're thinking of what the next content we're going to post or edit. So when I hear people say this, it makes me laugh quite a bit because it's an endless cycle. Content creation is you are always creating content or thinking about content. You eat, sleep, shit, think of new content ideas to post up. So it ain't easy.
He started featuring his wife Ronnie on his page after he went semi-viral talking about building a nursery for their expected baby. He then proceeded to document milestones throughout their pregnancy, many of which received thousands of views and ignited a dramatic shift in Keith's content. In September of 2020, Keith won his second fight against Vinicius Zani.
Whatever they have in store for me, I'm always here to fight. I'll fight as soon as my daughter's born. My daughter's born in 4 days, so as soon as she gets here, I'm ready to go again.
He didn't lie. Just 1 week later, he and Ronnie welcomed their first child, Carter. From there, Keith's whole TikTok was dedicated to documenting him being a parent. His loving and nurturing attitude towards his child attracted a large following of supporters. He provided them with wholesome moments, such as clipping his daughter's nails for the first time and celebrating her first Halloween. This was his family man era. Keith took a fight on short notice, just 2 months after his previous, to fight on the main card at Bellator 253.
I think I've seen this
Unfortunately,
flyer.
he lost by decision to Rafion Stotts, but that didn't ruin his spirits. Keith the family man kept posting his terrible dancing videos and even started sprinkling in some cooking content. By mid-2021, he had accumulated 1 million followers and was averaging maybe 100,000 views per post. This was his foundation, the people that knew Keith was a humble, honest family man. Unfortunately, he would hit a new rock bottom when he lost his 6-figure Bellator contract. In August of 2021, he was set to face his toughest opponent yet, who was undefeated. Keith was beaten and bloody and then submitted in just the first round, then got up while unconscious and stumbled headfirst into the cage. The clips of his loss made the rounds on social media. He was embarrassed. He got a call from his manager saying he was cut from Bellator. Keith was back to rock bottom. His first TikTok back after his loss was him, poetically, ordering some food.
I have these sunglasses on because my eye is black and my face is beat up. I'm fine though, for anybody. Well, I'm not fine, but I'll be fine.
He had 1 million followers, but he was only making around $400 per month on TikTok. His fight career was looking grim, and TikTok didn't seem realistic. Then he got a call from the owner of Harold's Chicken just a couple days after his loss. They asked him to do a review of their establishment. At the time, he didn't know it, but Keith just discovered his next big venture.
All right, Harold's Chicken in Las Vegas. They didn't have no mac and cheese, but it's okay. Overall, I get the food up 9 out of 10. Without question.
Following his review of Harold's Chicken, Keith made food reviews as a side quest on his page. However, his main focus was on family vlogs and cooking content. He was still largely referred to as the cooking guy, regularly being asked about his cooking content during interviews. In January of 2022, his wife became pregnant with their second child, and they desperately needed to find another source of income. He started doing more and more food reviews, but they weren't that organized,
Oh, no.
and he was very
Oh no.
source of
Keith,
income.
you ain't
He started doing more
Arby's?
and more food reviews, but they weren't that
Me blood clots. Oh God. Oh no, they done got my boy Keith Lee with the damn A-word restaurant. Damn. Claney, don't do this, bro.
that organized,
Don't
and he
do
was
this.
very generous with his ratings.
We are sitting outside of Firehouse Subs because today we are doing an official food review. This has the perfect amount of spice. Like my tongue is tingling a little bit. I got that feeling on my lips. You still taste all of the flavor. 10 out of 10.
Keith says he leaned on his faith and prayed something good would come from this TikTok thing, and it did. In June of 2022, he signed a brand deal with Wingstop worth 6 figures, the same amount he had lost from the Bellator contract. He successfully was making a career on TikTok, but it was about to get a whole lot better. His food reviews slowly started to become his main content
Ooh,
because
Shake
his
Shack.
brutal honesty was very entertaining.
Altogether, this food was $50, and the customer service was terrible. The lady at the front where I was picking up was really rude, like extremely rude. I had to call back and get her name. I think she lied because she answered the phone like I didn't recognize her voice and said, hold on, let me go get the girl. You the girl.
Then in October, the popular YouTube channel People vs. Food approached him to collaborate on their channel, and he accepted. This channel has over 12 million YouTube subscribers, and he knew the exposure would help his TikTok career immensely. By the way, double check if you're subscribed to my channel. I asked my wife what I should post on my page to make people not only come and watch, but actually follow, and we decided to post one full review every day. The first got like 11 million views. From there, Keith's entire content shifted to strictly food reviews. He has only been doing it full-time for 1 year at this point, but he never could have predicted what was about to happen next. While most high-profile food critics only pay attention to high-end restaurants that are too expensive
I don't understand these restaurants, man. I get it.
next. While most high-profile food critics only pay attention to high
To spend, listen, this is, when I go piss me off when it is to see this, you have 3 pussy club bomber club plates for just a taste of some food. I'm not spending that much money for that. If I'm putting down some bread for some food, each plate better be stacked with something. Cause you got me twisted. Like, when I eat this pussy clot, this little taster food bullshit that is you put up on the plate, nah, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I know it is that this person here got an American Express and just don't give a fuck about with life, bro. Because there's no way, like, this is a bite. I know this is caviar. Don't get me wrong. Like, caviar, I've had caviar and it's good. But come on, gang.
high-end restaurants that are too expensive for most,
I mean, if you
he
like
shifted
fish
that
eggs.
focus onto affordable, small, family-owned restaurants that were easily accessible to the public, or fast food / popular affordable food chains. He even went out of his way to give a chance to establishments that were struggling financially. However, Keith doesn't consider himself a food critic. His reviews feel
Who
and
eat
look like
eggs
one
like
of your
that?
friends
It's fish eggs, bro. I don't mind fish eggs. It's all it is just omega-3s. That's it.
giving you a casual breakdown. A typical review would be him ordering 3 or 4 different items on the menu, like a family of 4 would, then tasting every single item and rating it from 1 to 10. He often throws in other notes like their customer service or additional information that is relevant to the experience.
Yeah,
I got
no.
it. Let's try it and rate it 1 through 10. I spent $23.84 on 3 bao buns and a drink. But bro, that's what they look like. Customer service, delightful. It was a very short interaction, but the guy who worked at the front was really nice. And the actual building itself, very aesthetically pleasing. It made me want to eat. Wait a minute, bro. Personally, it was lacking spice, so the add of the salsa took the tacos itself from a 9 to a 9.7. That's one of them ones.
Even when he gives a negative review to the food, he will provide more context so it doesn't come off as unfair. He often goes out of his way to leave massive tips, sometimes hundreds of dollars to workers that give him good service. Since he had already built a strong foundation during his family man era, there wasn't necessarily one viral review that changed his life. His growth has been steady, and along the journey, his audience latched onto his down-to-earth attitude, unwavering love for his wife and kids, and dedication to God. But even if you don't know about his past, after watching a few videos, you can just feel he is a kind and genuine man. They didn't care about Keith not being technically qualified nor having a depth of culinary knowledge. He thinks what sets him apart is his values. I stand on my integrity, I stand on my values, and I don't allow those to be wavered or to be shook no matter the amount of money, the opportunity, or the people I'm surrounded by. With nearly 10 million loyal followers, a full-time dedication to quality reviews of local or less popular restaurants, a phenomenon dubbed the Keith Lee effect would take over Las Vegas, then all over the USA. One of the first beneficiaries of the Keith Lee effect was a local food truck called 303 in the Cut. In November 2022, Keith's review blew up and garnered over 35 million TikTok views since its initial upload. Keith confirmed their cheesecake sandwich was a 10 out of 10, and the next night, 303 had people waiting in line for over an hour, wrapped around the corner for their food. The owner said they doubled their income in one day, and it stayed that way for over a year.
Okay.
One Las Vegas pizzeria he reviewed, Frankincense, made headlines for attracting lines around the block because Keith gave their wings a 10, pizza a 9.8, and garlic knots a 9.2.
Ooh, those
However,
garlic
it
knots
wasn't just
too
the
look
food.
good.
It was Keith's interaction with the owner, Frank, that made people want to support him even more.
Right, a
If I don't like
cheesecake
the food, I gotta
sandwich?
tell you, I'm not trying to be malicious. And he was like, I'm gonna be real with you too. I need help. Yeah, that hit me here. He said the food is delicious. He has great reviews on Yelp. The only bad reviews is that he don't close the time it says that he closed on Google. The time it says he closed on Google is 1 a.m. He was like, I literally can't afford to open that late because we don't get that much business. Frank, if you're watching this, I'm gonna be completely honest. You are an amazing man from what I saw. I appreciated your time and I appreciated your conversation. Let's try this food.
According to Frank, Frankincense had to hire 23 new team members in the 6 weeks following Keith's review and had guests from all over the world patiently waiting for over 3 hours for his pizza.
Oh,
Frank said he was
wow.
thankful that Keith helped his business and the overall community at large in Las
Aw.
Vegas. Yasser Zermino, owner of Aroma Latin American Cochina, asked Keith to come review their restaurant through email. Keith gave all 5 different items over a 9, including the Oaxaca sandwich, which he said was the best he had ever had in his life. The owner said, "We went from not being able to pay the bills to now having to hire people to come and help us." Other Vegas-based businesses that Keith reviewed have seen instant growth, like Caribbean restaurant The Pink Potato or Southern Taste Seafood, a food truck that went from making $200 or under a day to seeing a 900% increase in revenue in the days following
Ooh.
Keith's review. But his
Okay.
impact wasn't just on small businesses. Even Chipotle, the fast casual chain that
Talk about it, cause them damn quesadillas. Oh my God, I'm so glad it is that the Chipotle put quesadillas on their menu because oh man, their quesadillas are so good. Just because I'm not gonna lie with you, I'm also the same way. The Keith Lee effect got me too with Chipotle, with Chipoodle, Chippanese, Chippendale, if you will. I had to see for myself. I'm like, I love me a good quesadillas. A little, you know what I'm saying? Little treat to myself. I'm like, all right, let me try it. And let me get the honey chipotle sauce or the honey vinaigrette sauce with with the sour and the sour cream. Mix that together. And then you dip the quesadillas in it. It's good, y'all.
generated $8.6
Keith
billion
Lee
in
aura.
revenue in 2022 saw the benefits of the Keith Lee effect. In early 2023, a reviewer named Alexis Frost posted a review of a menu hack. An order of a steak quesadilla with extra cheese and fajita veggies that fans say tastes like a Philly cheesesteak. Keith reviewed it and gave it a 9.8. Then chaos ensued. Chipotle workers all over the country were overwhelmed with the tens of thousands of people coming in to order this hack. One employee said the worst shift of her life was servicing this trend. Another employee said a customer tried to swing on him, aka fight him, because he couldn't make the food. Managers started posting signs that say, "Protein and cheese on quesadilla only." Chipotle realized the only way to solve this problem was by adding the hack as an option on their menu, dubbed the Keithadilla. Keith quickly became well known all over Las
Her?
Vegas. Once he partnered up with Mr. Beast to give $10,000 to a struggling business, he couldn't even go outside without being swarmed, so he dressed up in silly disguises to avoid being recognized. But his impact is not just in Vegas. Keith got to review a local Brooklyn bakery that he selected while being
yeah, that's
interviewed on
true,
Good
yeah.
Morning America, while also donating $10,000 to that business. He continued to do press runs, being interviewed on talk shows around America, and of course, reviewing food. So now that we know how much positive impact Keith can have on a business when he likes the food, what about when he doesn't like the food? Well, unfortunately, the entire city of Atlanta would find out about the negative side of the Keith Lee effect. In October 2023, Keith announced to his nearly 15 million TikTok followers that
What's
he
up,
and his
Mike?
family were traveling to Atlanta, Georgia, and needed some restaurant recommendations. He had previously made videos in Detroit, Chicago, New Orleans, New York, and Los Angeles, but Atlanta's food scene is entirely different, which prompted a lot of mixed reviews from Keith. The drama first began when Keith visited the Atlanta Breakfast Club, where he wanted to take the food to go, but they didn't have anywhere to sit and wait for the food. So instead, they decided to dine in, but the restaurant wouldn't allow them to sit down at a table and be served unless the entire party was there. Upon finding out that they were charged $1 for butter at a breakfast place, it was just an annoying cherry on top. Little did Keith know, it was about to get worse. Keith posted his review of The Real Milk and Honey, however, he didn't actually get any food. Firstly, he tried to call ahead and order. They don't accept call-ins. You can only order on the
Hold on, crab. What?
get any
What?
food.
Crab, what
Firstly,
bites?
he tried to call ahead.
Cajun seafood avocado toast. Oh, that sounds good. Crab hash. Authentic Baltimore style crab cake over a hash with our signature Cajun cheese. Hold on now. Shrimp and grits, hot Atlanta chicken and biscuit. Waffle and chicken, fried chicken. Hold on now. You be on the bullshit, but hold on, you almost had me.
Had an order. They don't accept call-ins. You can only order on the DoorDash app. But
you almost
DoorDash
had me.
said that they were closed. So they drove to the establishment in the middle of the day, and the employees said they were closed for deep cleaning, while there were customers walking in and picking up orders. Then Keith walked into the restaurant and they recognized him and immediately attempted to serve him since he is famous, to which he declined. Keith has always been very expressive that he doesn't want nor deserve special treatment from restaurants. These days, he sends in his friends and family to do orders so he doesn't receive bias from the establishment. He wants his experience to match any ordinary person. I've personally never seen a restaurant have a rules list, but the Real Milk and Honey have a ton. We guarantee.
I told y'all, Atlanta and Houston has a very weird listing of rules, house rules, if you will. And Dallas has it too, but Dallas ain't that bad. It's predominantly what I've seen is Atlanta and Houston.
Guarantee great food. Everything else is left to chance. We do not provide individual checks. 18% gratuity added to parties of 5 or more or checks larger than $105. No reservations, unless you're Barack Obama. No parties larger than 4 on days that end in Y. Keith was clearly frustrated that a business would change the rules when it benefits them, but he didn't want people to attack the Real Milk and Honey because he had a bad experience. However, the internet, being the internet, started attacking. There was actually another restaurant called Milk and Honey whose owners were receiving death threats in the DMs because of people confusing them with the other restaurant. But if you had any sympathy for the Real Milk and Honey, it would be gone once you saw their response video they uploaded to TikTok.
Did you see this Keith Lee video about the Real Milk and Honey?
And who is this Keith Lee?
Daddy, you don't know Keith Lee? Yeah.
No.
The owner tried to look cool and pretend like he didn't know the entirety of social media is destroying his business, but it only made people want to support their business less. To add insult to injury, Keith reviewed the bodega positively, which is directly next door to the Real Milk and Honey, which resulted in a line of customers skipping the Real Milk and Honey to wait in line for the bodega. But the shenanigans continued. Keith reviewed another ATL restaurant called Old Lady Gang, but again, did not get any food. He tried to call their number, no answer. Tried to order on DoorDash, said they were closed.
Isn't Old Lady Gang, isn't that the Singer Candy's restaurant? I want to say it is.
He sent his family into the physical store to do takeout. They said they don't do to-go orders on the weekends.
Okay, so I'm
but
not
the wait
tweaking.
to dine in was 1.5 hours and they didn't take reservations. Instead of leaving, Keith decided to walk in where he was recognized and immediately they offered him a seat, skipping the entire 1.5-hour wait, to which Keith denied because he didn't want any celebrity treatment. This is exactly how it is for us regular ATL folks. Imagine them telling you your wait time is 1.5 hours, then someone else comes up and sits immediately. Keith left and visited Toast on Lennox, where he didn't plan on doing a review but arrived to a 2.5-hour wait time. When he politely left, the entire staff walked out and offered him a seat immediately, to which he denied again. There were videos that went viral of him in the parking lot seemingly arguing with the staff, but he was just letting them know that he didn't want to skip the line. But Keith's experiences are not just unique to him. Cardi B spoke on the subject on an IG Live.
Did. What's up,
Like Atlanta restaurants, they don't like to make money. I feel like they don't like people. They don't like their customers. They just don't fucking like it. First thing first, right? You could barely order in Atlanta restaurants. Like you go like, hey, I would like to make order. Oh yeah, we don't take orders. We don't take orders. It gets to the point that I literally have to I have to tell like people that order food for me, like, can you just name drop my name? Because first, they don't do no pickup orders. They don't do deliveries. They just don't do shit.
And of course,
Atlanta's gotten bad. And like I said, for somebody who's been going to Atlanta since 2013, it was never like that beforehand. That is something that was like post, we're still technically within pandemic. We're just not in quarantine, as what we were in 2020. But it's gotten that bad. It's really bad at this point. And I want to give Atlanta like the benefit of the doubt, but it's just like, y'all shouldn't be like this when it comes down to like, oh, you know, pickup orders you have to do from DoorDash, but the DoorDash app says it's closed. But then when you call them and you spoke to somebody, you know what I'm saying? But it's bad. It's really bad. And what made it worse about with Atlanta is the fact that like there was niggas who was really trying to say it is that like, oh, he's bashing the restaurants and stuff like that. I was like, no, the fuck, he's not. Like he doesn't want any special treatment because of the fact that like he is a now known celebrity. Well, he's known for for MMA and stuff like that. There was literally people putting out threats to this man. Do you not realize the family he comes from, and you want to sit there and threaten somebody it is that has stuff to lose for his wife and his kids? Please don't do that to no black man. Yeah, stop. Listen, y'all, and especially for what it is that I'm hearing about his background, you don't know what type of things it is that's in his heart that you just ignite when you push people to the edge. Stop doing that shit, bro. He seemed like a very nice, humble guy. And Ryan, the nigga from Detroit, out of all people, like, bro, stop messing with these people. You don't know what's in their heart, bro.
We got some hilarious memes from this whole situation.
You walk in. Let me show you how it's done. Hello, sir. How are you today? May I take your order? You talk like that. We talk like that. Because Keith Lee is in town, bro.
That boy Keith Lee in Atlanta now. Hey, y'all, are y'all little boozy at restaurants? Y'all better get on your goddamn Zoom now.
Yep.
Hey, milk and honey? Uh-huh. See, that was y'all ain't get for giving me attitude when I told y'all my partner was just down the street parking the car.
Although most people were understanding of Keith's frustration with these ATL businesses, others, like ex-football player Chad Ochocinco, thought he was trying to tear down black-owned businesses.
I don't like the critiquing of our restaurants and having people and talking bad about our goddamn businesses and like, dude, you know how.
Look, call it to what it is. I hate niggas like this. Call it to what it is. All right, I'm stopping a lot because I have some shit to say. Certified yapper here. I hate when niggas do this shit, right? When it comes down to like with black-owned businesses, I love supporting black-owned businesses. There's a plethora of them out here that I put my money into. There's a plethora of them out in Atlanta. There's a plethora of them out in Houston that I will absolutely put my money into. But you niggas who think it is because of the fact that you have a black-owned business, a black-owned restaurant, you are not exempt from any type of critiques. There's usually, you know what I'm saying? You have to weigh those criticisms and figure out to how it is that you can able to turn that around to become better in the future. I hate when niggas do that because when you get to the criticizing a little bit, now it's just like, oh, you don't support black-owned businesses. Bullshit. We do support black-owned businesses, but you're not exempt from that. Business is business at the end of the day. There is a level of like good customer service, bad customer service. That is only the thing it is that consumers know. How do we get to the good customer service, good quality, you know what I'm saying? A good establishment and stuff like that. Plus workers, enough workers just to handle that level of people it is that comes in. Stop thinking that shit, bro. It's the same thing with like clothes as well. Like a black-owned business will fucking have like a sweatsuit for like $300, but when you can get a sweatsuit for a good 40, that's not even a black-owned business. And then it's just like, oh, well, you're not supporting black-owned businesses. Bullshit. You want to go ahead and make money off of the same community it is you're saying it is that don't support you? No, your shit is expensive. Like, stop. Like, oh man, I can go on a tangent on niggas like that. I hate that shit, bro. Like, why would you want to triple tax the same people what is within your community? It's not a level of not supporting you. Some of y'all just suck. And don't get me started on the damn hair businesses and stuff. I wish we had a Keith Lee version of hair reviewers, especially out in Atlanta as well. Charge on this goddamn money that is to put a deposit to booking a space, but then they sit there and they can able to just cancel your damn appointment the morning of, and it's like I put all this money into it. I can't wait for y'all bitches to get exposed for this shit, bro. Let's get back into the video.
How hard it is,
And I get it, Ocho.
for us to even get in the food industry. What are the qualifications of being a food critic?
Go to a restaurant and do you like the food? Did you like the customer service?
Thank you.
What was it like?
Thank you.
Yes. What was the wait time like? That's all you got to do.
At the end of the
Thank
day,
you.
Keith just gives his honest opinion and experience, but he implores everyone to try for themselves. If he is too positive, his opinion will hold no weight. If he is too negative, he will be seen as destructive. There will always be haters. However, broadcasting his opinion to 14 million followers will, without a doubt, prevent a lot of people from trying a restaurant. If someone I trust says don't go somewhere to eat, I'll probably listen to them. Or if I have
Facts.
one bad experience, I probably won't go there again. This is why some people argue that you can't have a bad day in the customer service industry. If you can't afford a bad review, then you shouldn't give bad service, especially
Correct.
if you are inviting a food critic to your establishment.
Correct. And when it comes down to like, there's a thing called damage control. The real milk and honey, the manager that tried to flex with that damn pussy ass fucking pipe in his mouth as he was trying to sit there and say, like, who is this Keith Lee? They're trying to stun on the nigga after it is a heat, like, bro. And the niggas went to the restaurant next to the Real Milk and Honey instead of that one. Y'all have to understand when it comes down to businesses, everything has a lining of, like, you know, positive reviews, negative reviews. You don't need to go to culinary school to be a food critic. A food critic is us, everyday people. It can be anybody, because at the end of the day, that holds weight. And if you are a person of stature, if you are a person of people that knows who it is that you are, it only takes one mess up, and or even it don't even have to be somebody of that high. You could just go based off of your friend, somebody it is you like, you chop it up with every day, you cool with. If somebody sits there and say, yo, don't go to this establishment, 9 times out of the 10 it is they're gonna follow the wording of what their friend or family member said, because of the fact that they trust them. Based off of that, you know what I'm saying? Now, sometimes it is like, hey, listen, everybody got different taste buds and stuff like that. But I mean, it holds more weight the more successful it is that you are. And that's why when Ocho Cinco's is like, oh, well, you know, but food critic stuff. Like, you don't have to go to culinary school for that. A food critic can be me. A food critic could be Patrick. A food critic could be anybody within this chat. People only know of 2 things: good or bad. Good food, bad food. Good customer service, bad customer service. It goes hand in hand with this. You know, there are some people within those industries. I don't give hell to the people of this who are making my food or delivering me my food, because I don't believe in doing that. And let alone, like, I give them an attitude or that, you know what I'm saying? And they go ahead and they spit my food, or they drop my food and pick it back up and put it on a plate. I've worked within food. I've seen what niggas would do to some people it is that they don't like. But that is a different story. It's hard being within that as it is, especially since it is, you're not getting money as it is you thought as you would. Your money gets from tips. So it really goes hand in hand. That level of, like, connection that you have really goes hand in hand with customer service, bro. Yeah, I mean, you can definitely rely, like, you can rely on some people, but definitely try it out for yourself. But if 2 people, it is like, you know, the person who referred you to the food and you tried it, and both are saying it is, of like, hey, listen, I was there and I had to wait like almost 2 hours to get seated. The food was kind of all right. People was giving me an attitude. That's bad business. It is what it is, gang.
Which a lot of these restaurants do. Through all the drama, Keith found a lot of gems in Atlanta. The seafood menu, Juicy Jerk, the dining experience, which he personally tipped the owner $2,000, and Jamaican Jerk Biz, where the owner broke into tears when he walked in. He asked the owner what her sales were for the day, which was $2,600, and he paid her $3,000 for his meal. However, Keith just announced that he's on his way to Houston to do a food tour, and restaurant owners are trembling. In just 10 months of fame, Keith has helped hundreds of businesses, raised tens of thousands of dollars for charity, and continues to spread love and positivity during a time where we need it the most. Maybe from here he will start a food review show, or a cooking show, or maybe an app for restaurants all around the country that he recommends. As long as he remains the positive and wholesome man social media knows and loves,
that Louis
he will
Vuitton,
support
I
whatever
see you.
endeavor he chooses. Finally, the internet made the right person famous.
You know, listen, y'all can't sit there and say anything about Keith Lee that gonna make me not support this man. Yo, what's up, Snacks? How are you? I think what he's doing is amazing, especially helping out with so many different, like, restaurants that is, like, you know, giving them solid businesses and stuff. And I was just saying this. Listen, Houston, you better be on your mother behavior with Keith Lee in that area. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna say this about DC too when he gets down here. Y'all better be on y'all behavior when it comes down to that, because it's either gonna make or break. That Keith Lee effect is gonna either make or break an establishment. But all right, y'all. That was a great video. W video, by the way.